I like to come up on this mountain when I'm brainstorming and writing this story for home. It's the neighborhood I've been building that's going to be part of a city is right over there, and I'm going to show you some cool stuff there as well. But I just like to come up here. It- I have a place in most of my worlds where I just chill at, and you have a lot of chill zones. You know that missing chunk is not a chill zone. We're gonna disappear. There it is. Okay. Yeah, I just like to come down here. I like to come up to the peak of this mountain, or sometimes it is down in a hobbit hole that I made on my first night, or something like that, where I just chill and collect my thoughts for what I want to do with the rest of my time and things like that. So, oh, whoops, I did the oopsie. He doesn't need a oxygen mask when he's on Haven, huh? This guy, Farith Spatium, he was the main character in Reports of a Minecraft World, this skin that I'm wearing. And he, right during the time of Humans of a Minecraft World, he would have been like almost almost conceived, you know, not quite, but his parents were together and all of that. So we're gonna see his parents. His mother was in Reports, and we're gonna see his father in Humans. So pretty cool. And I just like this area. I'll turn my render distance up sometimes, or like I don't know if you noticed, but I change my video settings pretty often based on performance for a number of reasons. But there's some like mod textures down there for the medieval mod that I still have loaded. I use that for Tome or Tales of the Minecraft World. That was my first show, kind of testing it out. So here we are making the prequel. And so, buddy, how you doing, little chicken? There's more. Oh, am I? Oh, it's like when you walk up where there's a bunch of geese. They're like, dude, come on. All right, I get it. This is your spot, chickens. I made I made a offering to those horses to use this, and they said nay at first. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna walk around here for a bit and explain some things, some a little more about home and reports. So this is gonna be like a story and update, and also me letting you know kind of the differences in videos coming soon. Right now, I got this section of the neighborhood. It's very like cookie cuttery. I don't know if you've heard that term, but they're all supposed to look the same. I'm not really like in on that ship that I made in reports where the militant leader brought like engineers with his soldiers on that bigger ship. The rooms were all different. Like I don't know, I like to make it personal. But all these buildings are roughly the same. There might be differences in the tables or things like uh because of the walls and stuff, the backyards are different. So but inside and on top are the same. We got this here. I asked my kids what this was, and they were like, "It's an air conditioner." So that's what these are. They're air conditioners. It makes sense to me. And this is kind of just like a pylon for electricity or something. Over here is just like a foot traffic door, so any vehicles, I still haven't figured out what their land vehicles, if any, are going to be. So maybe these people don't get around too well vehicle wise because of the state of their world. It's mostly taken over by nature or a little bit of a reveal factories. So this is just a small like power plant and materials processing place. I still have to work out the doors and the outside stuff. I just started working on these buildings today. Not buildings, I'm sorry, machines. So I mean with with my amount of real world knowledge of like machines and work areas and stuff, it's not like I'm not a master per se, but I've definitely taken my time and tried to understand them as well as I could. So this is what we have here. Those are sticky pistons on these steel blocks. So the lava flows down here, and then when this clamps, it makes this fill up, and it starts kind of a chain reaction. So it like blocks for a second and then flows again. And I have a what I don't really know redstone terms too well, but what I've been calling for quite some time, a redstone gate right here. So I'll add a repeater, and I'm definitely not a a huge redstone guy or anything. Like I watch Etho's Lab, if anyone's familiar with Etho's Lab, and that's where a lot of my redstone knowledge comes from. So I would definitely recommend Etho and absolutely Mumbo Jumbo. You Minecrafters definitely know that name. So I might, yeah, I'm gonna showcase this here. I was gonna say I might regret it. No, it's not too bad. So yeah, you can kind of see. Yeah. Anyway, this is like the power box, so they can come back here and open this gate and work on the power to the system. I think, yeah, this is what I was a little worried. No, never mind. It's fine. It's actually performing better than I thought it would. And you just close the gate that way. A lot of redstone stuff in my mind is like you say the opposite of what's happening. So when I open the gate, I'm adding redstone to it, and when I close the gate, I'm just letting it run out of time because it's all timing and stuff like that. So for some reason, my mind adds terminologies to like past tense, if that makes sense. But this will be covered up, of course, and maybe there'll even be like a ladder and a cage up here to work on these, you know. Just subtle things like that, I think, is what boosts building. And somebody told me I'm a professional builder, and that made me feel so great about myself. And I don't know, I try. It's not like a bad thing for me, but I don't like to accept compliments that are that uh I guess I'll say strongly worded, because I'm more of like a long time builder, let's say, and an attentive learner. So these are all my ideas, my buildings, of course. I used to take inspiration from BWO, and now a lot of times what I'll do is I'll look up stuff from the real world and kind of replicate that into the game. So that's also a technique that my favorite builder had been doing for a long time. I just kind of grew older, I guess I'll say, and am now conceptualizing a lot of things just even without paper. So I know not everyone visualizes in their mind, but I have a lot of internal monologue and um imagery, visualizations in my thoughts, if you will. I'm just trying to share things about myself, and I know that a topic lately has been internal monologue on the internet, so mine is definitely not negative. It's it's not like somebody asked me to do something and in my head I'm like, no, I don't want to do that, or more negative responses. That's not what it sounds like in my mind. What I say out loud is always what I'm thinking, but I always hear it first before I say it. And maybe that is like the way I was raised, being reminded to think before I talk set in, and I was already like, I had a strong imagination. We think before we speak, and I was at a young age, however, imaginative enough to understand that. So now I've just had plenty of practice. So that's my little take on internal monologue. Anyway, visualizations. This was all just I actually showed my wife a bunch of iterations of this machine, the one I'm calling the extractor, and it's so funny. The way that I would like run it by her to see what she thought of how it looked, I would say, "What is this giving?" I would say, "What does this look like to you?" And she would say, either it looks like a bunch of religious buildings, or it looks like a well. And then finally, I got this together, and she said, "It looks like a machine. Looks like machines." So I run my ideas by her, and she helps me a lot with organizing my thoughts. So um, a close friend or a life partner is helpful as well to like run your thoughts by having a life partner. And this is a video I'm making just kind of on the fly. I just wanted to sit down, record my voice while I'm playing Minecraft. So that's why I'm pointing things out right now about what I'm doing right now. Because I really enjoy playing creative mode and survival mode equally, you know? Like there's a lot of times where I'm doing these projects and I'm building and building. Gosh, I love these. Sorry, I'm breaking my train of thought, but I'll come back to it, I promise. These So I'm editing this the next morning and I'm just laughing at myself because I'm doing exactly what I was just describing. I was building and I was having a lot of fun in creative mode. And then all of a sudden I looked out at these trees and the river and I was thinking what I would do in survival mode and talking about my survival let's play series. So I just wanted to put this over it in post because I thought it was a funny moment and I never really returned to that thought. So if you're still watching, I really appreciate you sticking around to hear about home and Rome. So in the beginning of Rome, I was trying to write just a classic sci-fi adventure. My inspiration for starting with the ship was certainly from like Star Wars, Star Trek, and the Millennium Falcon. So Farith, this guy right here again, was on his Explorer class ship heading to Lem, the big beautiful moon that I struggled to capture over a couple months. And Farith ends up running into some scrapper class ships flown by some aliens, pirates. These guys were some goofy space pirate dudes that I wrote with my kids, and it was a blast making them. I know those scenes. If you watched reports of a Minecraft world, first of all, thank you for watching that. There's some views throughout that series. It's a full playlist on my channel. It's reports of a Minecraft world. It's about 3 hours and 8 minutes long. So something to watch over time or with a big bowl of popcorn or whatever your preference is as far as that goes. It's all free. I'm perfectly happy for you to watch it at your leisure and at no cost to you except for your very valuable time. So thank you. After running into the pirates, Farith runs into his old friend from an academy they went to learn how to fly spaceships and be part of a spacefaring civilization. So they were part of like the first generation of space explorers, basically. And Ramiro was this person he ran into. After they escaped together, Ramiro became Farith's first mate. Sorry, I'm making this in in one go without much preparation, like I said before, but I think this is a little bit better for me to get a stream of consciousness out for those of you who care about these series I'm making. Those few of you that I care about, and I care about your time. Back to the story. Ramiro and Faris arrive at Lem as they planned, after escaping into an asteroid field and being watched by something unknown. However, it definitely was not the success that they expected to find. Deep in that moon, there was a temple, and the reason they wanted to find this temple was because it held a secret to magic. I think some people would call it a soft magic, but I'm not super privy to all of that information, if I'm saying that correctly. However, being a huge nerd, I've definitely heard the terms and consider them within my stories. So I hope that helps with some people's opinions of the show if they haven't had much to go off of. That I'm putting a lot of thought in this and doing a lot of writing and consideration. Faris and Ramiro are suddenly separated. Faris goes on a a solo journey through like the depths of space and the void and what have you. Because remember, this is a Minecraft universe. This isn't our universe. I might be building things that look like stuff that is inspired from our universe, but this story is a Minecraft story. So let's make sure that we don't lose that as we go as well. But so Faris goes on this journey, discovers a lot of things, and goes to places that even I wasn't planning for him to go to when I started writing the show. But I'm glad I did, because one of those places he goes is right here. He comes to Haven, the home planet that he never stepped foot on. And in that episode, I was having the performance issues that I mentioned before, and I apologize for the low resolution that I hadn't figured out quite how to handle yet before finishing reports. That was a big learning experience for me about filming. Tome or Tales of a Minecraft World taught me a lot about how I want to write these shows, that I want to have a like a almost an allegorical message at the end, but not anything heavy, just things that I feel are important to me, like values that are important to me. So that's kind of how I put my heart into what I'm writing. Eventually, Farid finds his way back to Lem, but a lot has been happening there, and I was jumping back and forth in the episodes between Farid's perspective and what was happening back on Lem, where everything was kind of centralized, and it started there and now it's concluding there as well. So a lot of conflict was building there on the surface of Lem between two factions. So Farid belongs to the explorers, and they're a small faction that has no real regions of space that they claim. They're neutral as far as conflicts goes, and their technology is focused on distance traveling and, of course, consequently speed. So the Explorer class ships are the fastest. However, the militants and the methodicalists, the other two factions that showed up there before Farith came back, they are the last conflicting groups of humanity. So both factions believe they're noble and they're following the ways of their ancestors and all of those things. So we're not saying the militants are the bad guys, and we're not saying the methodicalists are neutrals or the explorers are the good guys. I just love color coding. They're just following the way that their forefathers taught them, just like Farith is. So further down the line, Farith discovers Ramiro is nowhere to be found, and there's militants crawling all over the inside of the moon. So he has to think of something, and he's not thinking too well. He's very emotional. So he goes straight to the leader, the one that came in the big ship with his engineers, and he wants to take him on. But during his journey through the cosmos, a lot of things changed in him, and he's questioning it. He also lost his spacesuit and his laser rifles and stuff. So he's down to like sharp sticks basically. And he's looking at this this spacefaring militaristic civilization that wants nothing more than to take control of this moon by aggressive forces. So that's their goal, that's what they're doing, they're occupying, they're doing their job. Farith is considering this. Obviously, trying to assassinate a leader is not the way to go. It's not the answer. So, something happens. Farith had an epiphany. He knows that humanity fighting itself over this was never the goal. This this resource, this space that they're all occupying together right now, and they believed him. They knew that what he had to say came from his heart. They ran into the naturalists. They're the green ones. They're the faction that I wrote when I think about naturalists, people that are still able to connect with nature. I think of spiritual people, and I I think of a civilization based on that would care about the planets they go to and be very careful not to disrupt any ecosystems that they might come across or not detect at first. And that's why they use those biodomes to traverse to a place before they can uh, spread out and colonize a planet. Now we're still talking about Minecraft. Don't forget, please. But these naturalists are accepting of Faris's plan. After they debated whether or not the pugnaciousism militants and the methodicalist scientists would agree to join forces and help them restore humanity's power, explorationists and naturalists meet with the militants and scientists. After that meeting, we'll see where everyone comes from, all their home worlds, and what they're doing. The methodicalists travel around and build hubs. They build energy collectors and all kinds of things, and that are now accessible not just to the humans, but the the fun little aliens and all of that stuff that fly around in the Minecraft universe. So let's change the scenery. At the end of all that, if you watched the 3 hours and 8 minutes, or if you sat through me telling the story and talking about the videos that I made a little more in depth, and just like some of myself, I hope that you enjoyed this video and you want to see more like this. This is the stuff that I want to start focusing on more is Minecraft, my creations, my perspective in this game. And I hope that that's something that you want to watch and that you can be inspired by. Anyway, have a great day, and I really, really appreciate you. You're my favorite Minecrafters.